Yeah.
Okay, so we are recording.
Sunil, should we start?
Just to give maybe a couple of minutes, then we'll start. So people are joining. We'll give 2 minutes maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, I need help with the audio. It looks like also my video is blocked by the host.
Oh, yes, we are supposed to.
Oh, try again, Joanne. Sorry about that.
Yeah, maybe Diego, it's almost 2 minutes. Would you like to start?
Excellent. Yes, thanks, Sunil, and thanks for the colleagues in the data-driven digital agriculture innovation team, which has been putting this series of learnings on what's cooking digital agriculture. This webinar is on a recent guide that the World Bank has published on designing and implementing AgTech innovation challenges and competitions. We've seen an increase in these type of events and mechanisms to crowdsource the latest and the most innovative solutions to some of the most complicated agriculture challenges, but also taking advantage of the opportunity. So here, as part of this series, this webinar series allows us to bring in thought leaders, innovators, and World Bank task team members who are looking to transform the ag sector. Just so that you know, this webinar series has been done 93 times and attended by more than 11,000 people. And there's going to be 5 speakers and discussants today. Just to let you know that 2 of them will present in Spanish, so there is going to be interpretation via Zoom. The webinar is going to be available in the website of this webinar series, and you will find the link in the chat. Sunil will share that. Also, I think Vicky or Sunil will share again the link to the guide so that you can browse through it while we go through today's presentations. Please keep your microphones on mute to prevent the background noise. And there will be a Q&A session after the presentations and the discussants, sorry. But you may type the question or your comment to the speakers in the chat box, and we will get to them in the Q&A session. So our team will collect these questions, and if there is any concerns on technical difficulties, you can just put in the chat. So my name is Diego Arias. I'm the practice manager for the agriculture and food team working in Latin America and the Caribbean. I was involved in a few of these competition challenges in Africa several years ago, where this idea started. And these type of instruments, competition challenges, we've found can insert a lot of dynamism in agriculture innovation. We know that our ministries of agriculture, the institutes that do research, development, and look for recent innovations, many of them are publicly funded, and with that brings a lot of bureaucratic processes behind it. And so being able to add this type of instrument to the toolkit of ways to innovate in the agriculture sector brings a different dynamic in terms of working with private sector, with startups, even with people that are not from the sector. And so we found it very useful as an addition to already what is an agriculture innovation system and an ecosystem. So we will have different views today from different colleagues working in that agriculture innovation system. And we look forward to your comments, and obviously any suggestions on the guide would be very welcome. So let me introduce to you our 4 speakers and our discussant. We have Maria Victoria Traverso, who will talk to us first. She's an agriculture analyst at the World Bank, working in Latin America and the Caribbean, and she's based in Panama. She's one of the authors of the guide. The other author of the guide is Martin Gurria. He's a senior consultant in technology and entrepreneurship. And he's currently working in the Black Sea Economic Community organization, but also has been a World Bank consultant for many years. The third speaker is Roxana Paez. She's the director of Incuba, the innovation node of Santa Fe, of the Argentinian National Institute of Agriculture Technology, and she is part also of a World Bank project on agriculture innovation. And Eugenia Zaini, who's the executive secretary of a regional fund in Latin America for agriculture technology cooperation, and the acronym is FONTAGRO. And we'll end up with Ji-Hei Kim, who's a senior agriculture economist in the agriculture and food team in Africa East at the World Bank. And we will be moderated in the discussion by Joanne Gaskell, who's the senior agriculture economist leading the agriculture innovation agenda in Latin America and the Caribbean. So with that, I will hand it over to Vicky, and I look forward to the discussion.
Thank you, Diego. I will share my screen. Just let me know. If you can see it.
We can.
Perfect, yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So good morning, good afternoon, everyone. This presentation is about the AgTech Innovation Challenges and Competitions Guidebook, which has been elaborated by Diego Arias, Martin Gurria, and myself with the support of other teams and colleagues from the World Bank. So we want to thank them, all of them, for their contributions. And now I'll give a little bit of background on the guidebook. So this document has been developed to address the lack of publicly available information on how to design and implement innovation challenges and competitions, especially in the agriculture sector. So our objective was to create a systematized guidebook with theoretical but also practical information on how to design and implement innovation challenges and competitions. So to do that, we have interviewed different experts on the subject, both from the World Bank, colleagues, specialists within the World Bank, but also from outside. So as you can notice, this has been a collaborative work. I will quickly go through the structure of the guidebook. So what you will find in the document is 4 main sections. The introduction contains the definition of what we call an AgTech innovation challenge and competitions. We also provide some history and lessons learned of innovation challenges and this type of competitions that have already been carried on in different countries under World Bank projects. Then the second section is, it has the most important information related to how to prepare and implement innovation challenges. For example, in that section, you will find some ideas or guidelines on how to define the problem that you would like to find a solution for. And then, for example, to identify different types of innovation challenges and competitions that you can choose to develop the event. And another example of information included in this section is the eligibility or selection criteria for participants of the event. The third section talks about post-innovation challenges activities. So it refers mostly to the award process and also the monitoring and evaluation aspects. And the last section refers to, this one is important if you are developing designing and implementing innovation challenges under World Bank projects, because it refers to World Bank corporate requirements. So in here, we included aspects related to procurement, financial management, and environmental and social frameworks that you will have to take into account and follow if you're implementing an innovation challenge under a World Bank project. Finally, on annexes, we have included some examples and useful information related to innovation challenges from colleagues who have already implementing them. And now I would like to invite my colleague Martin Gurria, who is also an author of this document, an expert on the subject, and has been implementing innovation challenges around the world. So we would like to hear from him his experience on how to design and implement innovation challenges. And with this, thank you very much. And Martin, over to you.
Thank you, Victoria, and thank you, Diego, and thank you everyone for being here. It's a pleasure to see this work finally being published. We did put a lot of love and time and effort to really create a manual that can be fairly straightforward way to execute a challenge. So we do ask you, well, if you're going to do a challenge, look at the manual, because you will have some best practices that will really help you. Doesn't mean that the challenge is it's already, this document is done. No, it's a living document. We already see progress on new versions, because we keep learning and keep adding new components or polishing some of the details. But rest assured that with this manual, you really have a very strong framework where you can start your job and carry it out very successfully. That's one thing regarding the challenge. And then I would love to take advantage of this opportunity to share with you some of my reflections, some of my ideas about the importance of this type of research, innovation tools. So what I see is that many countries around the world, they have their own public institutions for research and development. which is great. But I think you have to widen the scope and make sure to include, not include, but also to promote innovation from small companies and or bigger companies, but particularly focus on smaller companies. And I just think that if countries do not take into account this important fact, the way that the world is going in terms of technology and innovation, you miss a big opportunity to remain competitive as an institution. This is an excellent tool, innovation challenges or accelerators, however you want to call it, to bring your institution up to date, make it sure that you are promoting some of your goals of innovations by bringing in the private sector and become a leader on what you are. And I know sometimes it's scary. You have an institution which has a lot of red tape, but by doing this, you'll see that you can open the door to new activities. Companies really need to work with government, so you are their gateway for many of the things they need. And I just want to leave it here. Just have this seed of an idea into your minds that this is very important for you as a strategy to continue your job successfully. And I think Vicky and I were open to any questions, comments that you may have.
Thank you, Martín. Let's go on now to hear from Roxana. Roxana, ¿nos escuchas? Adelante. Creo que todavía está ahí.
Muy buenos días. Bueno, voy a compartir mi pantalla. En primer lugar, a ver si está todo ok.
Sí, vemos bien.
Perfecto. Bueno, muy buenos días. Muchas gracias por la invitación a participar de este evento tan interesante. Estaré compartiendo con ustedes la experiencia que tuvimos desde Argentina con la puesta en marcha de estos desafíos de innovación a partir de nuestra participación en el proyecto de sistemas agroalimentarios climáticamente inteligentes. Para poner un poco en contexto, porque hay en nuestro universo de oyentes mucha gente del exterior, contarles un poco que el INTA es una institución de ciencia y tecnología que fundamentalmente trabaja en procesos de innovación y trabajaba bajo una modalidad tradicional, podríamos decir, integrando investigación y extensión. Tiene una transversalidad a través de todo el país, presencia en todo el país, llegada directa a los productores a través de centros de investigación, a través de agencias de extensión, estaciones experimentales, y fundamentalmente tiene, digamos, una llegada directa al desarrollo territorial. Sin embargo, justamente engancho con lo que decía Martín, veíamos que a nuestra institución le faltaba esta herramienta o este tercer eje de innovación como una plataforma innovadora dentro de la propia institución, y es así como llegamos a este proyecto financiado por el Banco Mundial, en el cual estamos ejecutando fundamentalmente este componente de fortalecimiento a la innovación a través de dos ejes. Por un lado, la generación el fortalecimiento de estructuras de innovación dentro de la propia institución, y por otro lado, el desarrollo de iniciativas para la innovación como desafíos o concursos u otras herramientas. Bien, así es que pusimos en marcha 5 nodos de innovación para dar soporte a todo lo que teníamos pensado hacer en el marco de este proyecto, entendiendo por nodo un espacio en donde confluyen ideas, proyectos, un espacio muy vinculado con el ecosistema regional, en donde se pueden escalar soluciones tecnológicas para poder llegar finalmente al territorio con innovación y fundamentalmente con nuevos negocios, con una posición de liderazgo institucional en un acompañamiento no pasivo, sino, digamos, en co-construcción con el privado. Para nosotros fue muy importante durante el año pasado poner en marcha estos 5 nodos de innovación que también tienen una cobertura territorial de todo el país, y les menciono que fue muy importante porque los nodos son el brazo ejecutor del desafío que vamos a llevar, en el que trabajamos como primer desafío un concurso de ideas. Estos nodos tienen una especificidad temática y una cobertura regional territorial. Así es que el año pasado planteamos un primer concurso de ideas, entendiendo que este concurso de ideas era una herramienta que nos permitía salir a capturar en el medio ideas innovadoras, a la vez contribuía a esta transformación cultural interinstitucional hacia adentro de nuestra institución, y nos permitía también poner en marcha, implementar un incentivo de estrategia de participación a los propios investigadores, trabajando en conjunto soluciones innovadoras con privados, co-creando esta innovación. Como ustedes mencionaban, todo esto tuvo un proceso, como vos mencionabas, Victoria, un proceso de varias fases, iniciamos con un proceso de preparación que fueron 2 meses muy intensos, en donde se diseñó la estrategia operacional del proyecto, del concurso de ideas. Se definieron las bases y condiciones, se definió el ciclo de vida, estableciendo fechas e hitos, y fundamentalmente se puso el foco en los objetivos y en las temáticas que cada nodo quería priorizar en el marco siempre del proyecto de sistemas agroalimentarios climáticamente inteligentes. Obviamente también hubo definición de los incentivos. La siguiente fase de implementación tiene un rol fundamental de un componente comunicacional, en donde comienza la promoción del concurso de ideas y la fase de aplicación, en donde, digamos, hubo aplicación de las ideas a través de una plataforma online, y este proceso llevó 1 mes. Posteriormente, en la fase ya de implementación, bueno, tuvimos varias etapas. La primera etapa, una etapa de admisión interna por parte del nodo, en donde fundamentalmente había varios criterios, digamos, relacionadas a cuestiones formales formales de los emprendedores o empresas que se presentaban, y por otro lado también una definición del estado de avance tecnológico de la idea, proyecto, que no podía superar un TRL 3 para poder presentarse en este concurso de ideas. Entonces, a partir de la fase de admisión, pasó a una evaluación interna, luego a una evaluación por parte del propio nodo, luego a una evaluación externa en el que se trabajó con evaluadores externos, expertos en la temática, Posteriormente, una selección de las ideas a financiar o a premiar concretamente por parte de las autoridades de la institución. Y finalmente, el anuncio de ganadores, completando todo este proceso en un plazo de 3 meses. Sin embargo, no termina aquí todo este proceso. Queda una última etapa que para nosotros fue muy importante y es muy importante actualmente ejecutándola, que es un proceso de evaluación de resultados, de seguimiento, que va en 2 sentidos. Por un lado, evaluar y hacer el seguimiento de cómo estas ideas mantienen el vínculo con los nodos de innovación, y por otro lado, un proceso de gestión, de evaluación de la gestión del concurso, identificando las oportunidades de mejora en el proceso. Entendamos que este proceso es en sí mismo una innovación dentro de nuestra institución. Entonces, a partir de esto, podemos decir que, bueno, llevando a números, fue un proceso exitoso. Recibimos 188 ideas postuladas, de las cuales 87 ideas pasaron la fase de revisión y de admisión interna. 40 ideas, de esas 87, 40 ideas pasaron a la fase de evaluación por parte de profesionales externos. Cada idea fue evaluada por una terna de profesionales con distintas miradas, mirada desde la tecnología, mirada desde el negocio, y a partir de ahí se definió por parte de las autoridades, con todas las ideas evaluadas, premiar 18 ideas que efectivamente contribuían al desarrollo vinculado a sistemas agroalimentarios climáticamente inteligentes y sustentables. También hubo menciones especiales. Cada una de estas ideas recibió, ¿no es cierto?, un premio, una premiación económica, pero también una asistencia técnica por parte de INTA de una determinada cantidad de horas, y las menciones especiales, que fueron 6 menciones especiales, recibieron la asistencia técnica sin el fondo, sin el premio monetario. ¿Qué más podemos decir? ¿Cuáles fueron las principales lineamientos a los que respondieron estas ideas premiadas? Fundamentalmente, tecnologías que potencian la productividad en el sector agrícola, que mejoran la productividad y sustentabilidad, reproducción en sistemas de producción animal, el desarrollo de sistemas informáticos y aplicaciones para el manejo de datos, de tal manera de avanzar en sistemas inteligentes, todo el eje de sustentabilidad también vinculado al desarrollo de bioingredientes, bioinsumos, bioprocesos que aplican para la parte agroindustrial, y también hubo un eje de alimentos funcionales y salud humana. Esos fueron los tópicos en los cuales salieron las 18 ideas premiadas. ¿Qué más podemos decir de estas? En total, para nosotros son 24 ideas que tuvieron participación en el concurso. 44% de las participantes fueron mujeres, y 8 proyectos liderados por mujeres. También tuvimos una interesante participación de estudiantes. Aproximadamente un 20% fueron estudiantes, 2 proyectos premiados, presentados por estudiantes, y fundamentalmente 55% de las ideas, 55% de los participantes en los equipos técnicos fueron investigadores de nuestra institución.
Hello, Roxana. I'm sorry to disturb, but
Tuvimos
I
una
don't see.
cobertura regional
I don't hear the interpretation.
Tuvimos una cobertura regional, coverage, que abarcó todo el país, participación desde todas las regiones. Y para terminar este pantallazo, simplemente decirles que hoy contamos con una base de 40 ideas, con un desarrollo potencial, con un potencial desarrollo de seguir trabajando junto con la institución, que
Adelante, Roxana, te estamos escuchando.
¿me escucha?
Sí, sí,
Ok.
muy bien.
Ok, entonces, para cerrar digamos, nuestra experiencia, decirles que hoy el INTA tiene una base de 40 ideas con un potencial desarrollo para seguir construyendo en conjunto con los nodos ideas innovadoras, que este proceso de competencia de ideas se formalizó a través de los nodos para también avanzar con la asistencia técnica provista por INTA, que este concurso de ideas generó un trabajo colaborativo y catalizó una serie de procedimientos que era indispensable llevar adelante en nuestra institución para avanzar en el desarrollo de trabajos concretos vinculados a lo que es innovación. Y por supuesto que seguimos trabajando desde INTA con la finalidad de lograr que nuestra institución mantenga ese posicionamiento de tener un reconocimiento institucional como institución, o un reconocimiento como institución innovadora, llevando el desarrollo y la sustentabilidad a los territorios. Bueno, quedo a disposición para escuchar algunas preguntas en relación a este proceso. Muchas gracias.
No, gracias a ti, Roxana, y un placer tenerte y escuchar directamente de alguien que ha estado implementando este tipo de instrumentos en el terreno. Pasamos entonces a Eugenia. Ahí estamos viendo los slides, Eugenia, gracias.
Hey, hello. Thank you, Diego. It's a pleasure to be here in this webinar. I'm also very happy to see that we have 145 people. 2 of them are from my team, I know, but the rest is from different countries, which I think this is a very good webinar for them. So Roxana was talking about how to implement a challenge at the local level, in a national level. I think it's very important. Maybe Roxana, if you have a link to share with the audience, it's going to be great in the chat. But now we are going to move to talk about how we implement challenges when we are looking at a region as different countries. And this is an example on what Fontagro does. Fontagro is the Regional Fund for Agricultural Technology. This presentation will have 3 focus. First, we are going to focus in who is a type of organization that can implement these challenges. Second, what we do, how we do this implementation. And third, what is the process and the results. So I will go very quickly over the slides, but at the same time, I think we are going to share this in our website. So Fontagro, the Regional Fund for Agricultural Technology, especially promotes collaborative science and technologies and innovations. This is the only way that working together we can speed up innovation, we can speed up the transformation of the agri-food systems. We focus on three main functions, that is facilitate the dialogue among different stakeholders, not only in Latin America, but also worldwide. For example, since the beginning of the year, I was talking with different people and national research institutes from Africa and also the US. Then we focus also in how to co-invest, how we together with other organizations can jointly support financially different initiatives. And third, we also focus in capacity building. We understand that in order to transform the agri-food systems, in order to speed the innovation, we really need to support talent. We need to support the researchers, especially in a very complex environment where science and disciplines are changing every second. So Fontagro, as a regional fund, is a regional endowment. It's constituted by 15 country members. 14 countries are from Latin America, and Spain is the only country by now that is from the European Union. Together with the countries, we support public and private organizations, but especially we like to work with the researchers, the scientific organization, the researchers. We reach mostly as a base 131 international different organizations between the public and private. And something that is also important is even though we are 15 countries, we reach 27. That means that in the platform that we support, and now I'm going to talk about how we do this, we allow other countries, mainly for Latin America and Europe and Canada, US, to also be part of the research. So also we have a very important strategic alliances with the IDB, the Inter-American Development Bank, the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation in Agriculture. We work also with the World Bank, the CGIAR, and many, many others, which are also cited in our website. The only country outside the region that really is supporting together with us, especially in climate change, is the government of New Zealand. And this is something that is really important. Maybe people in the audience maybe know the Global Research Alliance. We are working with them since like 2009 on how we can improve the adaptation and mitigation processes in the agricultural sector. When we are talking about this membership, we also focus on the leverage that we reach every time we co-finance an initiatives. And look, in average, we reach over $3 from partners for every dollar that we invest, we co-invest, but we have initiatives that we have reached over $5 for each Fontagro dollar. Very quickly, we have a strategy. The strategic plan also covers 3 strategies. Strategy 1, focus inside the farm, how we can make farms more resilient, more sustainable, more productive. Then we have a strategy 2 that look at the territory and the agroecosystem as a whole. And then we have another strategy that I think we need to work more that links agriculture, food, and nutrition. So this is mostly the 3 big areas where we co-invest. I'm not going to talk a lot over this, but as an endowment, and it's very interesting how Fontagro was created by capital from the government, from those 15 country members that I mentioned before. And these 3 numbers are also very important. The initial capital of Fontagro as an endowment was $83 million. But after 26 years, we still have around $100 million from our financial statement, but also co-invest in $142 million. So look how important it is to understand how other disciplines and financing, for example, or how capital market can help an endowment and a regional endowment to support sustainable research in, at least in Latin America and the Caribbean. We work in mostly all type of sector, tuber and roots, dairy, poultry, livestock, fruit, crops, natural resources like water and soils. Mostly I can say that 90% of our portfolio is focused on climate change, adaptation and mitigation, but that topic also broke together digital agriculture, agri-food and value chain and many others. So I will go quickly on this because we have our annual reports where if you are really interested, you can go over them. This is a very quick map and where we show how we distribute the initiatives by each country. And something that I want to point out is that Fontagro does not support individual countries. What we do is we support platforms, innovation labs that always is constituted by more than 2 Fontagro member countries. And what we are looking at in those platforms are the inter and multidisciplinary network of scientists from the private sector, public sector. We really look for that institutional diversity. This is the only way that we really can speed the innovation in this complex environment that we all are. So at the same time, since 2018, we developed a digital tool that make all the scientists report their results online. The link is, we can share the links later on the chat, or maybe someone of the team can help on that. But also this is important because all this digital tool is open to everybody. It's not just for Latin America. So people from Africa, from Asia, from everywhere, you can go and see which kind of project we are financing. And maybe some of those initiatives are interested to you as well. So when I was invited to talk about the challenges and also what is the best approach that we can create on this, that was created by the team of the World Bank, I think is very important because there is no other document that can put so clearly how we can approach on creating these competitions. As all we know, that agriculture has multiple challenges, and some of them are really, really complex to work with. I will just mention 10, from access to technology, which is especially for small farmers. It's a very difficult, no approach, but it's difficult how we can approach them and help them to adopt more technologies. Also, the financing, the infrastructure. Internet connectivity is not well distributed among all the countries. Education and training, the research and development, especially on the public sector. This is also a very important challenge that we have to see how we can work in that. Policy and regulations. We know that small farmers still lack of, for example, their ownership. And that can be sometimes a barrier to adopt new technologies. We can talk about for a long time about climate change, the extreme weather events, what the market restriction we have, social and cultural factors, and so many others. But at the end, what is very important to keep in mind is that as many challenges we have, the only way that we can approach to solve them or collaborate on a solution to them is work more coordinated and in a collaborative way. So this Fontagro approach, I think, is very important when you are working regionally, because you have the same complexities, you have the same problems, and Fontagro as a regional mechanism is offering a way to approach together two solutions. So what we do was the third, or how we do this, was the third point that I want to make in the presentation, is we foster continued dialogue. This is very important in all kind of level, at the regional level, international level, but especially at the local level. In those dialogues, we try to identify priorities or interests, different way to think or approach in how to solve most of those challenges. In order to help the system, the innovation system, we run call for project or call for proposals. We also have special operations like seed fund, joint projects, and we have other type of initiatives. We try to adapt what the region needs in order to support this transformation of the agri-food system. But also we help on training. For a long time, writing grants, competitive grants, and writing papers or just documents with the results, it has been very hard for scientists. So Fontagro, the board of directors of Fontagro, also help every year to support with training for the scientists on these two topics. We have a really great team and a smaller great team that follow up daily every initiative that we have in the region. We focus on results. We make scientists focus on results, on the impact that they are doing or trying to do with the research. We also work very hard on knowledge management and communication, because we understand that we cannot work in silos. We need to share what we do. We need to get also advices and proposals of improving what we are doing. And mainly, we also engage with other organizations like the World Bank, the IDB, or many others that have the chance to scale up what scientists are funding on the field. So something that is new, and we just found out last week, is Fontagro run in artificial intelligence different tools, and we are monitoring all the projects that we have. And thanks to the work of Martin Westergel, that is a very distinguished scientist from Argentina, and he's also part of our team. He developed artificial intelligence tool that allow us to understand what is the TRL level in where the project or the technology that we support start, and how many levels Fontagro help on that technology move to. And we have a model, statistical speaking, we have a model that most of the group that we analyze it start on TRL 3 and move to TRL 6. So we go from a proof of concept to a prototype. This is very important, because that means that Fontagro helps to move 3 levels, at least 3 levels on the development of technologies. So as I said before at the beginning, there is different ways to approach to these complexities that we have in the region and worldwide to talk about how we can transform the agri-food systems. This initiative that is created by the World Bank, I think, is very important and will open many doors for a lot of new challenges. Challenges are really important because make people to create networks, and those networks also still keep working after the challenge is finishes, is what we have learned. And I think that working together with the World Bank and many other organizations will help everybody to move forward on all the solution and contribution that we can do together for this transformation. So thank you very much, Diego and team, for the invitation.
No, thank you, Eugenia. This has been really good to hear also the regional perspective and this mechanism that I understand is quite unique to Latin America and the Caribbean. I think in other regions, there are regional institutions that work on research development, on agriculture, but the way Fontagro is structured to finance regional innovations is quite unique. So thanks for talking today and giving us your perspective and explaining a bit how Fontagro works. So Jihei, are you connected? You want to come in? Thanks.
Sure. Thank you, Diego. So first of all, congratulations on publishing the guidebook finally. I'm really glad to see. I have no doubt this book will be widely used by all the global development partners and stakeholders. And it's great to be connected to INTA and Fontagro. I've listened to your presentation with a lot of interest. I'm learning Spanish, so I've switched back and forth from your presentation and interpretation. Everything was pretty smooth. So I'm Jihei Kim. I'm a senior ag economist specializing in digital agriculture, and I lead operations in East Africa, especially in Kenya, Uganda, Somalia, and I also work in Madagascar and Rwanda. And I'm also currently preparing a new challenge and competition event in Rwanda. And so as a discussant, I'd like to cover today's topic in the following order. First, I want to share also my experiences in hosting such innovation challenge and competition in Kenya and Uganda, which we started in 2018. And I want to offer a few suggestions to further refining the guidebook since it's a living document. And I'll conclude with reflections on today's discussion and highlight some of the factors that comes out commonly and that would ensure lasting impact of these challenge competitions. So first of all, on the experience in Kenya and Uganda, so the World Bank started the first innovation challenge and competition for disruptive agri-tech innovations in Kenya back in 2018. That also, followed the publications of looking at the whole sub-Saharan Africa AgTech innovators, which is called Scaling Up Disruptive Agriculture Technologies in Africa. Actually, the challenge competition was one component of this research, in a sense that we wanted to give a platform to meet them and then further, investigate the ways to scale their innovations. So in 2019, this event brought together 40 local agri-tech innovators as finalists with more than 200 participants in the challenge event, including mentors, investors, and stakeholders. It was a huge success. And that was just a reminder that there are locally grown innovations that we can tap into as development partners. And at the conclusion of this competition, the winners were invited into a platform called 1 Million Farmer Platform. So the challenge event was not just a competition, but it was a launch event for the World Bank to launch this platform called 1 Million Farmer Platform. So why is it called 1 Million Farmers? Because we want to use this platform as a marketplace for innovators to come and collaborate and for farmers to tap into the innovations as clients. Now, since the conclusion of this competition, there are 900,000 farmers invited into this platform as clients to more than 40 local innovators. And Uganda followed suit, and we hosted the challenge competition in collaboration with the Ministry of Agriculture of the government of Uganda. And the key difference, what is really distinctive of the Uganda's challenge competition was that we used it as a procurement event of the World Bank financed operation. So it was a very innovative way of soliciting the local innovations to solve implementation challenges of World Bank financed project, which was called Agriculture Cluster Development Project. I happen to be the testing leader of this operation, and we're about to close the operation. However, I can attest to the fact that without the local innovators who came to this challenge event and who became the vendors of our operations, I don't think I would have successfully closed this project at the end of this month. So I have a lot to share about how local innovations do bring, when they are mainstreamed, do bring innovations in even the World Bank project, even the development project. And there is a potential for us to engage with them from the point of them becoming our vendors as well. So it's and I don't believe there is any other way of giving them an injection, a more powerful and impactful injection in terms of their business growth, their financial stability, and addressing the barriers to market. So enough of my experiences in East Africa, and I want to move on to giving you some suggestions for refining further your guidebook. Not to self-promote, but I think the case of Uganda does bring a unique perspective in terms of how to then give a very practical support or push for scaling of innovation. So I do recommend that we can add the cases on Uganda. You can take advantage of all the materials that we have collected so far. There's a lot of blogs and written articles and materials that's available online, also available from my team. So it's an easy add from your perspective. I think it will bring the whole 360 perspective in terms of lasting impact of this scalable innovations. I think also highlighting sustainable institutional support would be very, very key. And for this, I think INTA's Innovation Hub serves as an excellent example and a model for other countries, because sustainable institutional and ecosystem support is crucial, and it's already been proven that it is one of the key for long-term success of scaling innovations. And lastly, annual national competitions. So this is one thing that I realized as I work now closely with Rwanda. So in Rwanda, there is a national level competitions, and this is agnostic of sectors. It's not just ag sector, but the whole sectors. But every year they have one sort of special focus on sectors, and it's rotating, right? So last year was agriculture, and where ag innovators took a special place in terms of a better platform of presenting their ideas and solutions for the national agriculture challenges. I think this kind of annual platform of challenge events bring a lot of potential for scaling up local innovations, because it gives previous year's losers a chance to apply again. And then it sort of creates an expectation and gives, a platform for them to keep motivated and, engaged in the process. So, you're not looking or hoping for something that may or may not happen, but for sure in your country there is a continuous process of engaging you as local innovators. So I know this is beyond probably a few initiatives and platforms. However, for example, I think at the World Bank, from our GP, we are engaging the Rwandan government to keep promoting agriculture as a sector in this national level platform, which is called the Hang Up Pitch Fest. Last year's one was very, very interesting, and even the president of Rwanda was present there. So these are probably the sort of components that we could mention in further refining the guidebook, which I'm sure, I have no doubt, it's already very, very good. So I wanted to discuss also the how to ensure the lasting impacts of these challenges and competitions. And now we are I am very, very happy to be connected to Inca and Fandura, right? Sorry, I'm Fontagro, sorry. Yeah, so we need to talk and connect, to be connected more, because then we can think of even cross-regional learnings and engaging, and there is a lot of potentials for South collaboration. In Kenya, we are providing now a platform for African innovators to collaborate with Indian collaborators, because there's a lot of Indian also diaspora in East Africa, and there's a lot of capitals moving, finance flows between the two regions, and local innovators can definitely tap into that resources. And for that, I'm sure Latin America has a lot of such, financial flows between probably Europe or America. So some of those opportunities should be tapped, and then we as partners in innovation can do a lot more to really source that and bring more fresh air there. I think I mentioned as I was sharing my experience in Uganda, I think after financial, so patient capital, what is really, really impactful for a lot of these local innovators is a real business opportunities to expand their innovation and business models that, that they by themselves would not think of or cannot actually imagine tapping into. And in this case, World Bank is in a very unique position because we have our operational spaces where we can bring the local innovations, mainstream them in our operation, which has already have a proven case of, a success case in Uganda, but I think the scale needs to be now even expanded. And for that, I think creating a marketplace with partners like yours would really make sense in that you can do, you can support the innovation pod and boot camps and development partners, and especially the finance is international finance institutions like the World Bank can bring our clients together in terms of then proposing a marketplace for local innovators to participate as vendors. So in conclusion, I think we've mentioned a lot about these important factors that underscores the structural support, continuous engagement, and ensuring the success of the agriculture, agri-tech innovators. And I hope some of the insights that I shared today can contribute to the guidebook and inspire further collaborations between and among all of us. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Jihei. And we have in the chat a couple of people that have asked about your experiences and projects in Kenya and Uganda. And if you have any link to that, just put it in the chat. So I don't know if we have Joanne connected. I know she was having issues with her video.
Escuchan. No, sí, okay.
Go ahead, Joanne. Please guide us through the Q&A session.
No, thanks, Diego. No, and thank you for all those presentations. It's really a privilege to hear from, so many actors globally, the different experiences, and to be able to put our heads together a little bit on these really important questions of scaling innovation and sustainability and creating marketplaces and connecting the public research and public resources, financial resources with the innovation system. Maybe one of the questions we got in the chat was very general, so I'll start with that. And it's about, they said, what are the key factors that contribute to differences in the design, implementation, and results of agricultural innovation challenge competitions that can lead to different outcomes from one country to another? Do social norms, values, and culture play a role? So maybe Roxana could speak to particular kind of particularities of the Argentina experience, or maybe Eugenia across different countries where Fontigra works. What are the different across countries, the things that lead, the particularities that lead to different outcomes that you've seen?
Sure, I will start first, since it seems like it's a question to look at the region. I didn't mention in my presentation, Fontagro as a fund, as an endowment, we have a board of directors. The board of directors is constituted by the presidents of the national directors or executive director from the National Research Institutes related in agriculture. So between the board and many other partners, what we discuss all the time is where are the main challenges, from those challenges, which are the main priorities that we have to cover in 1 year, in 2 years, in 3 or 5 years. So that define that work, that collaborative work or dialogue among so many stakeholders from the public and the private sector, but guided by the board of directors, defined what are the main priorities that Fontagro, together with other partners, are going to cover in the following year. For example, we have an annual plan, or during the 5-year term, which is our strategy plan. So that's very important, dialogue. We need to set opportunities for dialogue like this webinar to see how we can approach together to similar challenges, or how we can complement work together in between the different public or private organizations. So that's very important. So to approach to that, to make a very quick answer to that question, is dialogue and joint coordination of the activities that the partners or the stakeholders can do together in a region. So I pass to you, Roxana.
Sí, muchas gracias. Coincido totalmente. Tener foco acerca de las diferencias, acerca de las diferentes necesidades de cada región es muy importante. Surgen, ¿no es cierto?, objetivos que responden a alineamientos institucionales, como mencionabas vos, Eugenia, pero también se entremezclan con objetivos puntuales de cada región. Entonces, poner el foco dentro de estos desafíos de innovación o concursos de ideas termina siendo un mix entre objetivos estratégicos institucionales y responder a problemáticas regionales. Es ahí donde confluyen, y el concurso de ideas u otros desafíos que pueden surgir, que se pueden llevar adelante, son enormes oportunidades para ir buscando dentro del universo de soluciones innovadoras para poder ir acelerando todos estos procesos de innovación.
Joan, may I add a point here? Yes, so I think the question is very important, and just to promote the guide, I think part of the solution or the answers are in the guide itself, because depending on how you design the competition, you may have different outcomes, but also depending on the current situation, on the problem you want to assess, that will supposed to influence the design of the competition itself. No? So the guide provides these different options according to what the situation is, but it also gives you an idea of if you design it in 2 stages, if you're designing as a prize versus as a grant versus just a networking event, you will have different results. So encourage everybody to take a look at these different variations and what the potential impact is of the way you design the challenge or competition.
Another set of questions that we're seeing is about the role of universities, right? And so these innovation challenges, for example, are trying to reach the private sector and also trying to reach the universities. I think 2 types of institutions where INEAs can, National Agricultural Research Organizations can reach the sector. So maybe Dr. Pais could speak about the, did you see more interest from the private sector or from academia? And what are different strategies for engaging through these innovation challenges or through the concurso de ideas with each of these communities? And there's another question in the chat, I think related, how to incentivize universities to promote innovation and not only publications, right? And so what are ways that that the innovation challenges can be leveraged to engage with universities? And how does that compare with how they engage with the private sector?
Bueno, puedo empezar respondiendo que lo que yo mencionaba, que en nuestro caso, que trabajamos bajo el concepto de nodos, el nodo o hub de innovación regional tiene una fuerte interacción con el ecosistema en donde están incluidas las universidades. Muchas veces podríamos decir, el desafío de innovación o el concurso de ideas llega al centro tecnológico, llega al hub, pero la respuesta o la solución o el acompañamiento no viene de la mano de una única institución. Muchas veces en el proceso del acompañamiento pueden participar activamente las universidades, ya sea en alguna etapa del escalamiento tecnológico o en alguna etapa de, digamos, ayudando a, por ejemplo, a validar el mercado, a validar la idea de negocio. O sea, hay diferentes formas en las cuales se puede incluir a las universidades en el proceso de acompañamiento. En nuestro caso, en general, nunca trabajamos solos en este proceso de acompañar una idea hasta llegar a una innovación en territorio. En general son procesos complejos que indispensablemente se requiere la participación de varios actores del sistema científico-tecnológico.
On that theme, or we can move on to another question.
Joan, I don't know if Eugenia may want to come in. I know that Martin, for example, in the Africa case, joined the competition was done with a university in Southern Africa, for example, because they were the ones involved in getting the winners, the top selected participants into their program for training acceleration. So rather than the university being the one supplying the competitors, the people that will bring the innovation, they were interested in absorbing the innovators into their programs for later development. This was an innovation challenge that was based on ideas and not already tested products, right? So depending also on the challenge, you can have the university be a supplier of innovators or the one who wants to look for those innovators in the ecosystem to bring them into. I don't know, Martino or Eugenia, if you want to add anything.
Sure, I can go ahead very quickly. Fontagro requires in every challenge that we open, and we open challenges every year, that the academic sector, universities, or National Research Institute need to be part of the innovation platform, because what we focus is trying to promote that engagement between the public research sector, which is mainly in Latin America from universities, and also the other stakeholders. However, this is not an easy task, because most of the time, and I don't know why, and we are actually currently having some discussions about that, we need to improve the way that universities are connected to the National Research Institute and many other stakeholders. We still see that there are kind of silos in between all these type of public and private organizations. So the challenges are an excellent tool to promote, to destroy that barrier, to try to increase the connection between student, which is the new, brain power and force for the science sector in each country to be better connected to the other stakeholders. I pass to you, Martin.
Yeah, thank you, Eugenia. What I have been seeing is not only universities participating in the accelerating process as partners or whatnot, but I also have seen an increasing number of universities participating as entrepreneurs, as agents of ideas that they want to spin off their ideas into the market. And I have seen that in increasing numbers. And I think that's good news to be able to reach out to universities and make them participants of the innovation challenges. They have a lot to offer, and not to keep those ideas clustered inside the university, but Innovation Challenges should be a tool for them to go out, reach out, and be able to bring those ideas into the market. So that's very important.
There's a related question here in the chat, which is, how do you spill after a competition? In your experience, how do you spill the innovation to non-participants in the ag cluster? So Jihei mentioned the Million Farmer platform. I don't know what the panel would say about other strategies or that particular strategy to spill innovations to other non-participants in the challenge after it's over.
Joan, I can add on that point. Fontario has 26 years of working in the region and also internationally. And we have implemented, like every 5-6 years, evaluation assessment on what we do and how we work and if we achieve the goals that we propose every term. And what we have discovered is that even though Fontagro works on a specific part of the cycle of the science development, all the network that we supported still keep working together after the finances of Fontagro finishes. And that's very important, but because that is creating, strengthening capacities in the region through these networks that we are supporting. So one point is those network of scientists are still alive, even though we stop financially supported. But what we really need to do is working better, and thank you for the question, and how we can engage with other stakeholders that can scale up part of the research or the whole research. It can be in more farmers or in different countries, how we can scale up horizontally and vertically what we are doing. That's my point on that.
I would like to add, if it's okay. I'm not sure if I understood the question, but it's very important to include in these innovation challenges institutions or participants that have not been traditionally part of the ag sector. And I'm not sure if that's where it goes, but a challenge should be open enough that people, small entrepreneurs that have an idea, are able, even though they are not part of the universities or part of companies focused on agriculture, but be able to be open as a challenge to everyone. So if they have an idea, be able to participate in the challenge and be able to reach the finals or whatnot. It's very important for an innovation challenge to be open to everyone, even for people that have not been traditionally part of agriculture, because their ideas may be disruptive. They may cross-cut ideas from a different market and they bring it to agriculture. So if that would be, I would think that's very important to, when you design an innovation challenge, to do it in a way that is open enough that everyone that has an idea should be able to feel comfortable to join and participate.
I think that's really interesting. I think the question was about I read it as extension, agricultural extension, and getting the innovations out to farmers within the sector. But this point that you raise about engaging people from outside the sector is really important. And I heard it a bit in Jihei's comment about sustainability and having, even on the government side, a champion outside of the agriculture sector specifically, who is putting the focus on innovation and sort of institutionalizing innovation, where the focus is sometimes on agriculture, but it goes beyond the sector specifically. Do you have any guidance or experience, I mean, across the panel on some of those challenges of institutionalizing innovation competitions and including actors, engaging actors outside of the agriculture sector?
Probably I can come in here, Joanne. I think 1 million farmer platform was mentioned, but maybe I didn't go into details of it. So one of the ways of ensuring the multiplier effects, there are a few ways, and we've seen results, is that we need to link it to a very clear incentive programs. For example, in the Kenya's case, the 1 million farmer platform is not just a networking space, but it incentivizes both parties, the side of the innovators and the side of the farmers. So how do we incentivize the side of innovators? We bring them all the knowledge that they otherwise would cost a lot for them to gather. So about data on farmers, relationship with county governments, any World Bank project or policies that they may not be very much abreast with, but they can source through this platform, because we are the host of those platforms, along with other development partners such as Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and Microsoft. From the farmer side, we link these innovators, and we don't just leave them there, but we connect the innovations with the, for example, subsidy grants that we offer through our operations, or low interest loans that we know that they can tap into in their local financial institutions if they can bring more guarantees or evidences of collaterals. So these are all sort of incentive programs that we edit on this platform that ensures the lasting impact of innovations, because it incentivizes the innovators to keep engaging with partners. Also, it incentivizes farmers to keep trying different innovations, because it is a business cost for farmers as well. And if these can be subsidized, or their access to these innovators are somewhat less burdensome, then you can ensure that there will be an ecosystem created within that within that marketplace. I think the previous question, I actually want to touch upon that. I think the question is actually how do we promote the culture of entrepreneurship as well? And Joanne, you will remember you were one of the co-authors of the Scaling Up Disruptive Agriculture Technology in Africa report. We looked at the ecosystem in terms of, in different dimensions, and one of it was entrepreneurship culture. And I've done this deep dives in, through that report, we did the deep dive in Kenya and Nigeria and Africa, but I've done deep dives in other countries. And one of the most interesting one was the deep dive that I've done with in Korea, which is my country. And the entrepreneurship culture in Korea definitely had a very interesting trajectory, in that there was culturally, there wasn't a very much push for you to become an entrepreneur, right? Because it's a society where they, I think, place more value on, a good sort of status as someone, of your own, not as a business person, but more like you belong to certain organizations or have a very stable job, right? but the culture is changing very slowly. And more like the more interesting factor in that changes in culture was behind it was a government who promoted that through collaborations with academia and through providing a lot of public funds to match private sector investment in promoting innovations. And slowly there is a building of a culture that focuses on entrepreneurship. It is a risk, to become an entrepreneurs and have your own business. So it is very important that in the society you have you earn the respect of others as well, right? To become an, when you say you're an entrepreneur and you have a business or you are an innovator. And I think academia and also many times public policy should bring that strong signal that we are behind you and we support that. And it is actually a good thing for the economy that you are doing these innovations by providing fund and patient capital and then promoting that awareness, right? With public messages. So yeah, I wanted to just touch upon that because that was a very interesting sort of lesson learned through my research in different economies of ecosystem. Thank you.
Joanne, I want to just quickly here on the sustainability aspect, what has worked in some of the innovation challenges I worked with is a very strong alliance with the agriculture extension services, where they sometimes partner with some startups, sometimes just participated in the innovation challenges, sometimes were the ones awarding the winners, and by getting involved by default, they were spreading this to the farming community, not just even as comments on some of the winners. So agriculture extension services tend to be a very important partner for that aspect of going beyond the participants in terms of communicating the result.
Diego, and if I may expand on this is a key point for private companies and startups, being able to utilize public sector facilities in order to reach out final customers and be able to expand their inventions and identify a market for growth. And that's what public sector, one of the key assets that public sector can bring to the table for that, no? And where you can develop a strong and healthy partnership. And those innovation challenges are just the gateway for this, one of them. Back to you. Thank you.
Question, and I see a question that is on that on the impacts, and the macroeconomic impacts of these agricultural innovation challenge competitions, and how we can, what indicators or measurement tools all of you have used or employed as in conjunction to measure the impact and communicate the importance of these events.
Yeah, I think here Eugenia.
Yes. Yeah, well, thank you. We definitely just returning to Kai with his making that questions. I understand that the why is going to be launched soon as Fontagro works, and you can go online. We have our annual reports, and we also have impact evaluation assessment and what we do. So first of all, productivity has been forever in Fontagro one of the measures that mostly all the projects have, took into account to measure in their research. And then as well, if we talk about productivity, we are talking about partial productivity. Normally is yields, crop yield or animal yield as well. But then we have the other indicator, which is total factor productivity, where we are pushing teamwork on that together with Virginia Tech, which is a US university. The GAP report, I think most of the people know the GAD report. We were working also with ICA on that, trying to see how from science we can improve productivity, but at the same time, is that have an impact on total factor productivity in the countries. There is a lot still to do that. Skill development is very important. Contagro has an extensive history on training scientists in every platform. We have around 200 projects that for us is, those are international or regional innovation labs or innovation platforms. Every platform, every project has a funding to do capacity building activities. But something that is important when we support a platform, sometimes some scientists from some organizations are more advanced than others. So the people who has a better knowledge on a specific tool, for example, gene editing or DIG emission measures, they train the other people in the platform that maybe they don't have other opportunities to get training. So that's very important because we are strengthening public national institutions, also universities and National Research Institute, with the same funding in the same context of the platform. R&D spending is very important. In Latin America, sadly, most of the time is under 1% of the GDP, the agricultural GDP, except for Mexico and Brazil. So we are trying to work with different initiatives, as ASTI, for example, that is run by the CGRR and FAO to start measuring better how much contribution the government do over R&D public spending. We are not measuring and neither have current information about private investment. And then when we have some successful cases where some initiatives had the chance to move from a TRL 3 or 6 to a TRL 8 and 9. And that happened because those platforms got involved with the private sector, which means that there was an influx of funding on the country or on the institution that promote that technology was scaled up by the private sector and put in close to the customer or the farmer. So those are the different macroeconomic, in a way to say, indicators that we follow in every assessment that we do. And in 2018 also, we ran another assessment about how was the economic return of our investment. And after a very hard work that we did with some economists from the CGRR, we accomplished to measure and estimate that from a first investment of $8 million in 7 initiatives, the expected return or the economic return of those were $83 million.
Eugenia, thanks very much. We're running late.
Yeah, sorry.
Sunil, Leire, Adam, thanks very much for putting this together. Joanne, thanks for moderating. Sunil, anything else before we close?
No, thank you, Team Argentina, and thank you everyone for this rich presentation and rich discussion. And there are so many questions still they are unanswered, and I'm going to send this question to all of you if sometimes you would like to respond to those, and I'm also going to share all the people's emails and everything. And for participant, we are going to share the recording and the presentation with all of you. So don't worry, just watch out our email, and I hope you'll get within a week time you will get everything. And I would like to really thank each and everyone, including Adam and everyone. Really thank you very much, Jihai and Eugenia and Roxana and Vicky and Lair and like Johnny and everyone. Thank you so much.
Gracias a ustedes.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Gracias.
Thank you, Sunil. Thank you, everyone.